How's it going, everyone? I'm Ian Zarin, and this is Seeking Media Productions giving you a game review. Now, today we're going to be going ahead and tackling the game that I was actually kind of geeked out to actually see how it was going to turn out, and I'm talking about Alan Wake 2. Back in 2010, the first Alan Wake came out, and when it came on the scene, it was automatically one of those games that you knew was going to be something special. In that sense that the unique gameplay elements, the story that was trying to tell was something that just wasn't exactly being done by multiple games and studios at that time. In this particular case, the story itself revolves around a writer who's down on his luck and trying to deal with the concepts of a writer's block, having to go out on this vacation with his wife to try and find himself again and try to gain back some of that mojo that put him on the spotlight in the beginning. But of course, on this trip, he comes across this more stranger than fiction concept that threatens to tear his entire reality apart. Now, from the very first game, it did take me a while to actually jump onto that and actually play it myself, but I was very interested in seeing where it was going to go, and I actually did get my hands on it a little bit sooner, a little bit later down the block, when I knew that the sequel was going to come out, and wow, that in and of itself, even though it was an older title compared to most of the games I was playing at the time, was definitely something that was worth my attention. It had a unique concept of dealing with light and shadows, and the unique aspects that actually has some elements that came from various other horror aspects that comes into play. A lot of this is centered in a unique concept that's something that you would have seen right out of Twin Peaks or the Twilight Zone, dealing with alternate realities and having to deal with the aspects of the darkest corners of the human psyche itself coming to play and actually find itself within the world that we're dealing with now. And all of this was actually beautifully handled thanks to Remedy Entertainment and in this new sequel to the game, Epic Games. But that is the previous game. Let's talk about its sequel. Wow, Alan Wake 2 is just roaring on all cylinders. This game takes place pretty much where that other one goes off, although there is a bit significant time difference, thanks to the weird aspects that you're dealing with which both games are really referring to the concept of a darker reality or a dark place, a 13-year gap, so to speak. Alan, who had made his heroic sacrifice for his wife in the previous game, finds himself still trapped into the dark edifices of the dark place and trying to find his way out. But he is not alone on this journey. No, we are also having our hands digging deep with a unique new character, that of an FBI agent known as Saga Anderson. Her name alone, dealing with the concept of this whole game, deals heavily with the concept of story structure, and she fits herself right into the mix. Saga, who has her unique aspect, is trying to find out these unique murders that are happening in the area that Alan found himself venturing into, Cauldron Lake, which has multiple different kinds of stories and darker aspects, flowing around it, has a unique other twist with this concept of the cult of the tree, a vicious murder cult that's going around killing folks and leaving behind gruesome scenes that Saga and her detective, her partner, has to dive deep into to try and figure out what's going on. And on all of this, having to deal also with the concept of finding out what exactly happened to the story author Alan Wake himself. Now, like it was stated earlier, this game is a game that centers itself on two main protagonists: Alan Wake, the writer, and Saga Anderson, the FBI agent. And both of them have your own unique concepts of how they go about this story and their unique parts within it. For Alan's side of it, he's very much an individual who is thrust into this very dark and depressing aspect of a nightmare that he seems to just cannot find his way out of. He is really much trying to throw everything at the wall, or in his unique concept, the writer's room wall, and to try and dig himself out of this horror show that seems that there's no end to shadows in each place he's going. And it drives him into this unique concept of trying to figure out how deep or how dark is he willing to go just to find the light himself. And on the flip side of that, for Saga Anderson, who is very much a detective and who's if you've actually seen multiple different detective series, and I would definitely find this character just as much as in any of those series, kind of like True Detective, real True Crimes or something like that. She's literally just like walks right off the page of any one of those shows, but in the most bad. Well, not bad. The most incredible concept that you could probably get for that type of a character, an individual who isn't just individual who's very much about her job and how she's actually going to bring the pieces together, try and figure out herself, but is also having to deal with the concept of being a mother who's away from her child and her husband, and having to deal with all the dark horrors that's trying to meld them together and try to tear her family apart. And also having to deal with the concept of her trying to figure out her own family's past to find out why is that so much tied together with Alan's story in general. Now, when you look at Alan Wake, one also has to understand that the Alan Wake story isn't just standalone. In fact, it is continued on through another game that I actually was very interested and loved just as much as I actually loved this entry, that being the Control universe, and having to deal with the system of the Bureau of Control itself, which makes its own entry into this universe as well. So you're not having to deal just the entities of the Dark Place and culture that's all around them, but now you have to enter these cool foreign and very creepy, again, Twilight Zone, Twin Peaks elements that's coming from the Control universe, and also elements that I also find from another game series, another creepypasta concept, that being the SBC Foundation. A lot of that is deal with the control of the Bureau of Control, which also has its makings in here. And it's really cool. A lot of their elements deal with certain characters that make character appearances, or also puzzles that primarily the Saga Anderson has to find and deal with herself. Now, as far as gameplay is concerned, the Alan Wake series in general isn't very much like any other horror game out there. Yes, you do deal with the concept of using guns and ulterior motives to try and dive into finding your way out from all the horrors that are trying to come against you. But the main aspect that Alan has at his disposal, and Saga that in herself too, is their mind, and the unique concepts of what that brings into the alternate reality that's shaping all around them. A lot of what was introduced in the first game had to deal with the concept of the flashlight or light in general, and how does that breathe in new atmosphere and new experiences into a ever-encroaching darkness that's forming all around them. Seeing how well the environment changes just as, or the creatures and the entities that revolves around their world interacts with the character and the player, and having to deal with the concept of light and darkness. But within this new game, they add in a new concept or a new element dealing with focusing even further into the mind concept, where in Alan's point of view, it deals with the concept of the writer's room, which is this unique mind palace aspect, and where the character or the gamer gets to go into this separate space in order to paste together new aspects and tidbits they gain from the world itself to try and manipulate the environment and the details to fit their new path or their new goal. Vice versa for Saga, which I feel as though was even further more done, or at least better illustrated. with her mind palace or her mind place, putting together, which really makes you feel as though you're a part of the FBI criminal mind team, and having to stick together evidence or photos, and unique character interactions, dialogues to try and delve deeper into what is going on. And how are you going to able to manipulate the events and elements to your best to your particular taste or your particular motives to try and further move along the story. For the combat itself, both Alan and Saga have a wide disposal of different guns and explosives at their hand, but primarily it deals. Those are things that are just used to push back these enemies. No, the main thing that you're really dealing with again is light. For Alan, it's his clicker or the flashlight concept, and for Saga, it's literally a flashlight. But you also have those other aspects that both of them are able to, vice versa, interchange between each other. There's also the concept of switching back between one another through portals that are in the water or within the unique touches or interactions between the both worlds that you could go seamlessly in between one another. It's actually really really interesting and well done, as well as also finding new power-ups or concepts within the world. For Alan, being words of power that he's able to enter into himself that helps him move both increase his ability and his unique aesthetics within the world. And for Saga, deal with certain unique charms that are left behind by finding out specific puzzles and dynamics that are left behind either by the entities of the dark place or through elements of her past childhood. Either way, it's creepy and it's incredibly well done. The production value for this game is incredible, to say the least. I multiple times I find myself just sitting back and in total awe of what I'm experiencing, from the lighting, from the darkness, from the use of darkness and light, the use of creepy elements that makes you feel as though this is a horror movie being brought before your eyes. The unique elements that enter in CGI, or at least the gameplay elements mixed with live action actors and creepy elements that deals with itself, that helps add a unique twist to it. But I find it was probably, in my opinion, one of the most impressive elements comes from the music or the soundtrack of this game. Wow. Multiple times did I actually have to sit down, just allow the music to tell its story. And it does tell its story. When you have characters like the old guys of Asgard that are being played by the Poets Society, wow, my God. It keeps layering itself on how awesome it could truly be, and it's just a joy to enjoy, just savor in each aspect. But I guess when you basically throwing it all together in general, this game is coming from a rating system that originally had it at a rated T, which for at the end of the day is for teens and up, and then going into this harder element of rated M. Yeah, it works entirely. Again, the heart of this story, just like the tagline for this game, was that is a monster. It is very much delving harder into the concepts of how horrific being in this world is, and having to see just how certain elements play itself together, whether you're actually being able to tear creatures apart by shooting at them, or seeing just how dead bodies come reanimating itself, or seeing how the darkness plays into the actual elements of turning someone mad, or find itself out, the quiet parts find themselves out there for everybody to see. Yeah, it's going to be dark, and it's going to deserve a harsher, a deeper, harder rating. And jumping from rated T to rated M was definitely the right choice. So, having played this game and having the time to actually just immerse myself within it and seeing where it came from to where it is now, I'm happy to say that this was definitely an amazing game to play. There are elements that I feel as though it could has hide itself even further, more on the concept of even further interactions with certain hard-hitting elements of combat, which would have pushed it further for me, at least, to being a more epic game. as well as further elements would actually even tied it even more with the Control universe. But as it is right now, what they actually did and what they gave us to present, yeah, an amazing is where I'm definitely at. Um, Please, as always, if you like this, please like, share, subscribe, and hit our bell down there at the bottom for notifications. If you want more content just like this, have you played Alan Wake 2? If not, what are you waiting for? Are you a fan of the series in general? Have you played Control? Are you looking forward to a sequel just like me? Please comment below and let us know. As always, I'm Aaron, and this is Seeking Media Productions. See you later.